So I'm going back to an older piece of gear rather than using the newer, fancier piece of gear. What piece of gear is this? Well, let me tell you. It's
in a world where nuclear war has begun. Vampires fought back in super real 3D.
A few years ago, I had a Glidecam HD 4000 and it was on a vest with the arm and everything. It cost quite a pretty penny to get that thing going. I was so excited to get it, and upon getting it, I kind of sucked with it. I mean, I did not get the images I was hoping to get. I was so excited to finally get moving cinematic images. I thought it was going to be like, I'm going to use it all the time. Found myself using it very little, and I never got very good with it, and I was pretty disheartened at the experience. And then something happened with technology. 3-axis motorized gimbals came on the scene, like the Movi being the first, and then followed by DJI coming out with the Ronin series, and eventually something called a Ronin-M, of which I purchased. The Ronin-M is really just a lighter weight version of the full Ronin. In other words, it can only handle like a weight load of a smaller camera, like a DSLR-esque size. And I was totally cool with that. In fact, that's one of the reasons I ended up purchasing at the time an A7S, Sony A7S, which is a very small camera.
When we're on production, if we don't have enough lights to illuminate everything I know needs to be illuminated for this camera, then I cancel the shoot until I can save up some money, go buy some more lights and come back.
Because I was all about it being lighter, not needing a vest, and it doing all the stabilization for me. And I've loved it. I have gotten amazing shots with it, and to be 100% honest, I'm not gonna sell it. I'm gonna keep it. But I recently just got a Flycam, not even a Glidecam, this is like a knockoff brand. The Flycam Red King is actually extremely comparable to the Devin Graham series Glidecam, which is like an $800 unit. This Red King I got online on Amazon for $237. And it can hold a weight up to my Red Epic Dragon. And this is one of the reasons I'm going in this direction, is because to get to a point of having a Ronin system that can hold up the weight of a Red Epic Dragon, you're talking about a lot of money, and it's a lot of setup every time. Versus this stick can actually hold up the Red. However, it is too heavy for me, but I could get into a vest, and I can get into all of it a lot cheaper. And overall, to be honest, here's aspects that are also why I'm going back to this route. For one thing, it doesn't need batteries. That's actually a really big deal. When you run out of battery juice, it sucks. It sucks having to charge the batteries. And also, when you're in the world of batteries, that means that you're in the world of electronics. You're dealing or depending on electronics to get you through the shoot with the most stabilization that it can achieve. And to be honest, I've had some weird things happen with the intelligent batteries that come with those units, and the system choosing to be crazy and then having to shut down and reboot. And I mean, it's a fine unit, it's amazing for what it can achieve, but when you go over to something like just a straight Flycam stick or Glidecam, same thing at this point, you don't have to think about that at all. It's all mechanical, which means that you're going to be able to handle other weather conditions better as well. You don't have to think about the electronic aspects of it being a little bit wet outside or damp. Those are real issues for an electronic device like the Ronin. I'm not going to start getting into the weather sealing aspects of them. The bottom line is, it's electronics. It's not going to be as water resistant as something that's not electronic. So that's something. Also, the Flycam system is ultimately, unless you have the new Ronin that can sit down by itself like my Ronin-M, I have to have a stand to be able to set it down. I don't want to buy a new one just so I can be able to set it down without carrying around the stand, while this other thing over here I can just set down right out of the gate and it only costs $237. It's more portable because I don't have to think about carrying batteries and the chargers. It's just less things to deal with. I can just stick it all in one bag, take it with me, go on a plane trip. So not only is it cheaper, not only do I not have to worry about batteries because it's mechanical, it's also more portable, it's less attachments and things to be carrying around. It's more weather resistant, so I don't have to think about the electronic aspect. There's a bug flying around, excuse that. And I can set it down when I need to, but also on top of that, this thing, this is, I'm not that great with it yet. I've pretty much got this balanced, almost. Actually, if I'm not using it as the gimbal, right? If I'm not doing that, just holding it like this is actually pretty nice when I'm pulling focus or trying to zoom in, zoom out. There's a whole other level. I'm actually resting it on my leg here, and there's a whole other level of being able to stabilize. It's another point of contact. So that's really nice too, whereas when I'm trying to adjust a focus point on the Ronin, I'm fighting against the motor. It doesn't want, you're pushing against the motor, you're wearing out the battery more, etc. But on top of all that, when it comes to operating a glide cam, or Flycam in my case, the precision is available to the independent user. So when you're using a Ronin, something like this, which is awesome, it's very cool, super neat, right? I mean, if you don't know what this is what it is, okay? And then I put a 7Q up here so I can run it to an external recorder, and I get a beefier codec, and it's a big nice screen that I can look at for everything. But the thing is that when I'm doing aperture or if I'm pulling focus, I'm fighting against the motor a bit. It doesn't like that. This thing I have to set down on a stand. That's the way that it does operate. But the other thing about this is that the precision, it isn't quite there, because you could have a second operator operating a remote control that can actually steer where this points exactly. You can assign different sensitivity levels if you're operating it by yourself to try and pan and smooth out where it goes. But the thing is that ultimately you're still not deciding exactly what you want it to do when you want it to do it. Whereas on the glide cam, your hand is actually dictating exactly where it's going to turn and look. I mean, you have the exact control, if you get good with it, of where it needs to be pointed. I think a lot of us have gotten into the 3-axis gimbals with the motor, and we just jumped right in and never learned glide cam, and so we're not that great with it anyways. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel confident that if I put the time into learning this, which can take a year or two to get really, really good with it, but you can get results out of it much quicker. But I'm talking about trying to get really good with it so I can take this thing with me around the world and be able to get steady shots anywhere I go with most any kind of camera. You're gonna be better with your compositions and your steadiness. I mean, it forces you to have to get really good at it. And I have a feeling that when I go to use my Ronin for different situations where I do want to use it, because it has some advantages, it's easier to quickly decide to go low. You don't have to preset it as much. It's more wind resistant, so if I'm filming out the side of a car, I'm still probably going to gravitate towards using this because it's not going to get pushed around by the wind, because the motor can fight against that some. So there are advantages to the Ronin, but there's so many circumstances where I would just gravitate towards trying to use, where I would use this if I was really good with it. So that's the goal, is I really want to get good with it, and in doing so I think that I'll be even better with the Ronin when I do use it. But at the end of the day, being able to be that portable with this unit like this is really exciting, and it's not like a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. That's the whole thing, is that I'm going back a step to a previous technology that some people still swear by. And if you watch movie sets, most of the full-blown movie sets with the highest budget, production and everything, they're still actually operating a vest with an arm and a Steadicam, because those guys have gotten so ridiculously good. There's still absolutely a place for it. Don't feel like you have to get a motorized gimbal. I think that's like the go-to now. They're awesome and they are cool, but there are quirks and firmware updates and this and that. There's something nice about being able to just throw the camera on a stick and have it balanced and getting these steady shots. So I'm gonna be working on it heavily. Both of these things are hard to hold up with your hands all day. I mean, they both wear you out in a kind of different way, but I guess it's really mostly your shoulders. I mean, they just start to burn. I mean, that's inevitable, but you'll get stronger and stronger at it. So I actually have mine set up and I'm just practicing with it multiple times a day, just, trying to target out stuff. One of the nice things though is that I've been using a Sony A7S with all manual lenses the whole time. In getting the new Canon EOS R, one of the reasons I got the Canon system is because of the autofocus. They have a dual pixel autofocus, and it's notoriously the best autofocus that you can get. So I went ahead and invested in that camera for that. So that's going to be great that it can autofocus in circumstances like this, where I'm on a Steadicam and if I'm trying to get a gliding shot, you can't pull focus while you're trying to get a gliding shot, because it's going to bump it. It's going to be shaky. So an autofocus system is really awesome. It's something I haven't experienced because you get so into manual lenses when you're trying to get the most pristine images and the exact kind of focus that you want to get. I still use manual lenses a ton, like 99% of the time. But if I'm going to be on this, it's really nice to have the option for an autofocus that'll help make decisions or follow faces. So I'm excited about the options that it's unlocking for that. How do you keep focus? If you're on one of these units with the manual lens, you have to keep the same distance from whatever it is that you're trying to keep in focus. But that can be very challenging, especially if you're following somebody and they're changing in speed. You're always like a step behind that. You know, you're trying your best to feel that distance and keep it the same. But realistically, you know, you're a step late or a step early often. I mean, that just happens. Whereas with an autofocus option, pretty cool. I mean, the Canon autofocus is kind of insane for being able to track faces, so that's super neat. Anyway, if you're in the market to get some kind of Steadicam system and you're saving up for a motorized gimbal, you'll have fun with that, no doubt about it. You're going to get great shots out of the gate, but I think you're going to hit a little bit of a cap at some point on the precision control if you're a single person operator. The Glidecam is cheaper. It's available now, especially this Flycam system. I mean, it literally $237, and it competes with the $800 Glidecam stick. It can potentially hold a heavier payload than the equivalent motorized gimbal system that you'd get in the same price league. So I think in a way it's for the person that's going to try to go as far as they can with getting as good as they can. And if you need to be more portable, I think it's a great option too. Thank you for watching. If you want to keep up to speed with all the stuff that I'm putting out, by all means, please hit the subscribe button. If you don't want to subscribe, that's totally cool. But if you found the video somewhat of value, by all means, a like would be awesome and much appreciated. Guys, take care, and I will see you next week on the next episode.